Hello everyone, starting this first live video here in our channel. The first live in English. I have done this in Portuguese before. We should have joining us in any minute Ryan Stenolfson. That's his name. He's a specialist in local service ads. He works with HighLevel and he also works with conversation AI. And I'm very excited to gather questions from you guys and send to him and have the most educational content here, the best educational content here for everyone to help you guys with local service ads. I've just emailed him the link, so hopefully he should be joining us at any moment. If you do have questions about local service ads, I would encourage you to leave in the comments, because even if he cannot make it, I will be answering those questions. And if there's any questions that I don't know how to answer, hopefully I will know how to answer all of them. I will find out that later and share this content here on my YouTube channel. So how is everyone doing? So please leave in the comments where you're watching from. I haven't widely promoted this live video. I want this to be more like a place that you can go to find information about local service ads, HighLevel, Facebook ads, Google ads. So I'm just starting my content creation process, and Ryan is joining us right now. Let me add him, and he's here with us. Let me see if we can make this bigger. I can make myself bigger. That's good enough. Hi Ryan, how's it going?
Hey, good. How's it going?
Doing very good. It's
Awesome.
Thursday, almost the weekend. Weekend's almost here. And this week has been great. Have closed some deals, and I have gathered a lot of questions from my Brazilian community about local service ads. If you have shared this live video with other people, they can also participate, leave their questions. We tried to do the first one, it didn't work. We had problems, technical problems. Hopefully, this one's gonna work smoothly, and we can share as much content as we can here with people.
Yes, absolutely. And I apologize for being a few minutes late. Yeah, and I appreciate you having me on. Hopefully you can hear me well. And yeah, I'm really, Lucas, I'm looking forward to answering any questions that people have about, Google local service ads and what we do. And really, what I see is, transforming or change what is taking place in the marketplace for local businesses, and because it really it ripples out from the US market out into all markets, and this, yours included all of them, because people are still looking on Google and to find businesses, and they're also doing other things, and that's what some of the things that I'd like to talk to you about today, and maybe even give you some examples. But yeah, I'm open to take any questions. And for anybody that doesn't know who I am, I mean, I'm maybe you've introduced me. I own
I haven't
Accelerate
yet. I
Marketing.
was about to.
Okay, okay, yeah,
Go
go ahead,
ahead.
go ahead. Yeah. So
Yeah, I was gonna. So
go ahead.
everyone knows who you are. Can you please share a little bit of your expertise and how you started working with local services, with marketing more specifically? Please
Yeah.
share with us.
Yeah, so I started about 15 years ago. My company, Accelerate Marketing. And you can find us at accelerateyourmarketing.com. We started back in the day. It was even before Google Business was out. I mean, this was back before, Google Business Profile, and Google Business was before that. It was back when we were just doing like meta tags on websites, because if you just added and hid the words at the bottom of the page, like, this is total old school stuff. Like, only the OG original gangsters of SEO would know this or remember this. But basically, we used to just add like the business's keywords at the bottom, and we would make it the same background color, like the text, the same background color of the actual website itself, so that you couldn't see the words, but the words were there. And that's how we rank businesses. I mean, this is the crazy stuff that worked, and Google would pick that up, and they couldn't tell that it was invisible on the screen. So we would just pump that page full of keywords, like every keyword that we wanted the business to rank for, and they would rank for all of them. And this worked for like 2 or 3 years. And this is the time that we're in right now with artificial intelligence, where it's the equivalent is happening right now with AI, because the businesses and the community in general does not know even what to make of it. They don't even know it's a thing yet, really. They don't even know what's possible. Just like we didn't know that it was possible to just simply hide the keywords back in the day, and then all of a sudden Google would pick them up, and it would rank those websites for all those keywords. And the possibility is the same, because the early adopters of this technology, local businesses and large businesses included, you can really leapfrog your competitors, just like we did back in the day, by hiding those keywords and having those keywords blend in with the background, and then Google picking them up, and then having that business rank for all those keywords. So you can do that now with AI, and by actually, for example, like having the phones answered for you, by AI. So we'll get to that in a little bit, but we've been doing this for 15 years. We help local businesses we help local businesses optimize their Google presence, so that they can create a constant stream of pre-qualified, pre-sold leads, and we help them convert them now with AI. So that's what we do.
Do you work for Google on Google presence on the organic and also on the paid traffic side?
Yeah, so we work with them. Great question, Lucas. So we work with them on both. So, and the only reason why is really because there's a transition happening right now. Okay. Back in the day, it was Google business. Like I said, eventually we went from websites to YouTube optimization. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, these maps started showing up. I literally had a client that was with me for 15 years that down south here in South Florida that just exited our relationship with them only because they got bought out by Cintas, a multi-billion-dollar company here. And what they were doing is, or what we were doing for them, is optimizing them locally. And so yeah, that's we do the optimization. And he was the one who basically said, Ryan, you know what, man, we're doing these YouTube videos, but something's showing up on Google. It's these maps. So how do we get there? And so that's when we registered him for Google Business at the time. After Google bought a huge company to get the star ratings, because it was a ratings company that they bought, and they incorporated all those ratings from the offline world and brought it into the online world. And some people don't even remember that or even know that, but this happened like 15 years ago. Anyway, long story short is that because we've got that experience, and we started with that 15 years ago, and the transition I'm talking about is Google going from every business being listed on Google, and Google having all of their information in a directory, just like before we had a directory, which in the US, it was, Yellow Pages, exactly. And then we moved from everything being online, and Google is the default standard for that. And so now that Google's got all the information, what they're doing is they're going very smartly, they're business guys. They go, okay, we've got everybody's information. Now we want to focus on, now that we've got the business information, we want to focus on the consumer. And so what they're doing very smartly, and I'm going to talk about this in my videos, is they're going, okay, what we want to measure is how well the business is doing in creating a great experience for the consumer. Why does Google care about that? Because they want to make sure that when somebody's searching for a business, that they go to Google and not to Bing or not to Yelp or not somewhere else. So what they've done is they've done this through the Google local service ads platform that started about 7 years ago, about halfway in between, 15 years and now, which is, when they brought it out after they spent 7 years of gathering all the businesses of information. They go, okay, now that we got the information, now we want to make sure that everybody's having a great experience. And by doing that, they're solidifying their place in the consumer's mind as the reliable source of really good businesses. And so what Google's paying attention to now, and why we've transitioned from Google Business Profile Optimization only 15 years ago to 7 years ago, optimizing for local service ads, which is the 3 R's: reviews,
Is that when you
radius,
started?
response rate.
Is
Yeah,
that when you started with local service 7 years ago?
Yeah, 7 years ago. So we started optimizing for local service ads 7 years ago with not much information. I mean, the people that we talked to, we were not local service ad partners with Google at the time. So we were just getting the information that anybody else could. And, you know, through talking to a lot of different reps there, we figured out that it really was the reviews, radius, and response rate. Nothing's changed. And so that's Google's way through the reviews and the radius or the response rate. It's Google's way to make sure that the person, that the leads, that the business, that the people that are calling the businesses are having a great experience, is by listening to the phone calls, identifying if the business is answering the phone in 30 seconds and responding to message leads in 30 seconds. Because let's face it, if you've ever called a business and they don't answer the phone, and or you go on music hold or something like that, it's just horrible, you know. And so Google is listening, they are paying attention, and they are ranking the businesses higher if they actually create that great experience by answering the phone in 30 seconds and then responding to those message leads in 30 seconds, and then getting the feedback, the review, completing the circle and getting the review. And that review is a lot of times through the verified review process. So it's the verified review process that Google is now really putting a lot of time, energy, and effort around, because they want 100%. They want to make sure that they are getting feedback, that the businesses are getting feedback, and that feedback is good. And then again, it's that experience. They want to measure the experience that the person's having.
Yeah, and well, ultimately, the objective here is to keep people in their platform, right? Because before they would give the results that would take you to a website, but now they keep you on their platform. You can do a call from there, you can send a message from there as well. Ultimately, their objective, I want as many people on my platform so I can make as much money I can, because that's more revenue for advertising, more people, more users in the platform. That means more money for Google, because they have a wider audience to promote services to. And what you have described, like in the beginning of local service ads, it's incredible. Like I haven't done local service ads for how long as you have done. I started about 2 years ago, and we see now there are other features that can be added to a profile, other ways to optimize the campaigns. But ultimately, it still comes to reviews, response rate, and how businesses are providing that experience to users. So that's amazing to learn. Even though it has been 7 years, the framework's still the same.
Exactly. Even though it's been 7 years, the framework is exactly the same. It hasn't changed at all. And actually, I would say that it's probably even more skewed towards the response rate right now. Meaning, if a business can just answer the phone in 30 seconds and respond to those message leads in 30 seconds, they are going to get the lion's share of the leads that come through the LSA or local service ads platform, because guaranteed their competitors are not able to do it. And with artificial intelligence agents that sound like humans, you can do that, and you can create, you can really make it so that, that those people are being responded to instantaneously, or really within 30 seconds at least. And what that does is, when Google sees that, and they see that, for example, the business goes from typically responding in like an hour or 2 hours, and then instead now they're responding in less than 30 seconds, Google ranks them higher and the lead volume goes up. And what happens is just because they're responding faster, the conversion rate, the business's conversion rate, goes up typically by about 20%. So, I mean, let's say a business owner is getting 100 leads, and I can tell you right now that the average response rate, or the percentage of calls that I'm seeing that are answered in 30 seconds or less is typically less than 70%. Okay. So that means that 30% of calls are typically not being answered or not being responded to. Okay. So if instead those 30 calls were responded to by an agent and were engaged with, then that gives that business owner the opportunity to sell 30 more new prospects during that month or week or whatever. And so you can see how very rapidly the conversion rate can go up and how the revenue can go up significantly just by doing that. There was a Harvard study that was done by the Harvard School here in the US that found back in 2013 or 2011 with over 2,500 businesses, or right around 2,500 businesses that were in it, that 25% of businesses did not follow up with the business ever, or the prospect ever. So literally, if 100 calls came in, and let's say that there was follow-up necessary or whatever, that 25% of the time that never happened. And so in other words, and this is why I'm saying that if 30% of the calls are not being answered in 30 seconds, most of those are probably going to voicemail. And of those, 25% of them are probably not being ever responded to, like ever called back. And another 40% were responded to within an hour and then 24 hours, and only about another 25% were responded to in the next hour. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for sure.
Yeah, and now that you have mentioned that people do not follow up, that people maybe are missing calls, that's when we plug in the other solutions that we use constantly in our day to day, which is HighLevel. And well, you mentioned that you use AI voice agent. Would you share with us like what technology you use to answer calls?
Yeah, great question. So we use a few different types of agents. Well, just two. I mean, we use a messaging agent and which is for text, and then we also use a agent for voice. So they're really two different agents, and we even use sometimes a third for the business owner. Potentially, there's a way to actually respond to emails as well. So those could be three different agents or prompts that are created for a business in order to help them to engage with their prospects or the people that they want to work with. So yeah, I mean, these agents can do anything from well, first of all, they sound like a human. I mean, to the extent that if the business owner even sends us over like an audio recording of their voice, we can have it sound just like them. So the agent sounds just like them. And yeah, it's a little scary, but yeah, I mean, it can respond and sound just like them. And also, what it does is it can schedule calendar appointments. It can transfer the call to anybody else on the team. So if the person answers the questions that the agent has in a certain way, then it can send the call to, for example, sales or fulfillment or whatever. So like if you're an attorney, you can have the calls go to the paralegal versus an attorney, etc. And obviously, like the attorneys, like they love having an agent that will simply ask certain questions in order to qualify the person.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the agent keeps track of those questions for a PI attorney, for example. And then if they answer those questions a certain way, then the agent automatically texts the owner, and it will live transfer the call to the attorney. So it qualifies. It can even be, the agents can even be connected to the business's CRM. So the agent has a full understanding of the prior communication that happened with the business, just like a regular intake person would have. Yeah, I mean, pretty much anything a human can do, an agent can do. I mean, it's really, the sky's the limit. And I always like to to use the analogy of, the current agents are like baristas. If you ever gone to a coffee shop, the experience that you get at a coffee shop with the barista is an amazing experience if it's a good one. You can get pretty much anything you want, any way that you want it. And it's done just the way that you want it, and there's great communication, and the experience is amazing. Okay. That's where, with messaging, we're there. With voice, I would say we're about 90% there, and it's just getting better every time. Actually, ChatGPT 5.0 is coming out soon, and it's gonna make it so that it's even easier and better. But the old way of doing it was just the way that chatbots work, because it didn't use LLMs or large language models and natural language programming. It was the equivalent of just using a vending machine. You could press a button, and then out came the coffee, and it would put some milk in there, and that was it. And it was that was the experience. If you didn't pre-program it, it wouldn't know what to do. And so that's the opportunity for today's local businesses, for them to leapfrog their competitors. And the cost of these agents are less than typically less than a call service. So a lot of these businesses are familiar with probably like Smith AI, or there's tons of them out there, Nexus, etc. I mean, and here's the dirty little secret of that industry is that about 70% of the calls typically that these call services answer, they go to a music hold. And so about 30% of the calls go to a music hold, and that music hold will typically make the call not be answered by a human for at least 30 seconds. And that's what hurts a lot of the Google local service ads businesses. Because
what's your opinion on IVR? Like, it's
IVR,
not a musical, but it's a automated message.
Good question. So the IVR is for local service ads, it can be very, very damaging, because again, a human is not answering the phone a lot of times unless it's a very fast IVR for 30 seconds. And so therefore the call could potentially be counted as being missed every single time the IVR answers. And that is bad, because if you have like a 50% response, if 50% of your calls are being answered after 30 seconds, that's a bad situation. Then their lead volume is typically just going down, down, down. And a lot of times I get calls from businesses at that point. And at that point, it's really tough to help them. It's really because they're not getting enough calls for us to really then have them show Google or prove to Google that they're going to do things differently by, either, recreating their intake staff or their intake team and making sure that they answer all the calls. And then typically what we'll do is we'll work with the company, and we'll have them double down on their human intake team, and we'll give them the first 20 seconds to answer the call. And then we'll give the AI agent the last 10 seconds, so that we make sure that all the calls are answered in that 30-second time period. But IVRs can be damaging for sure.
Good to know. In your opinion, when you have like a music recording before the call on IVR, does that will hurt the ranking of a business on local service ads? If a business start answering with a human, is it likely that after some time they will start ranking higher and
Absolutely.
even decrease the cost per lead?
Yeah, they will rank higher, and eventually the cost per lead might be affected, but typically the cost per lead is static for the most part.
I think it's more based on competition, the cost per lead.
Yeah, exactly. The cost per lead is more based on the competition and less on less on how fast the business answers the phone. But over time, the cost per appointment, or cost per acquisition, or CPA, will usually go down, because they're converting more of those leads. So the conversion rate goes up, therefore the cost per acquisition, not the cost per lead. So you can have a lead cost $100. If before you were converting 25%, before you had a better system, and then now you're converting at 50%, that means that, that you've effectively, cut in half your cost per acquisition,
That's awesome. You've mentioned the voice AI agents. In my experience, I think I had experience similar to yours. That when the agent has a specific objective, and in this, for example, it's qualifying a lead, or it's making sure that they can reschedule an appointment. When they have a simple objective, they tend to perform better than if you leave it open. Like if you just have a number that people can call for any reason, it's the bot, the AI voice agent will not perform as well as one with specific objectives. Is that how you see it? This technology working as at the moment right now?
Yeah, you know what? I would say 3 or 4 months ago, potentially yes. Now, we've learned how to create prompts or agents with the correct instructions and the correct. If the agent is given the correct knowledge base, meaning you can chunk the data in so that it has reference to it very easily, so that the agent has reference to it very easily, then you can get you can get pretty complex with these guys, I mean, and it will learn over time. And this is what the main thing that we're doing now. The key thing that we're doing is monitoring how well that these agents are actually engaging after we set them up. That's probably the most important part of what we're doing right now, is monitoring what's happening after we set the agent up, because that's where the rubber meets the road. It's what's called fine tuning, in order to make sure that the agent does the best it possibly can, for the client in fielding the questions that it's being given.
Mhm. To get a little bit more technical, is this solution that you use, is this a third-party solution? Is this something that you offer along with your services? Is there like a link that you can share with people? Anything, any information that you can share so people learn more about this technology?
Yeah, so you can go to our website, accelerateyourmarketing.com, and there's a form there, contact form, if you want to, contact me, or send an email. Accelerateyourmarketing.com, ACCELERATE, yourmarketing.com. You can text my team. Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. Thank you for that. That's awesome. I'm going to start using, StreamYard, I think, because this is I used to use it years ago, and it really does make it, a lot easier to do these and simpler. So yeah, I mean, they can go there. We do offer the obviously local service ads optimization and Google Business Profile optimization, and 2 months ago we started offering our own AI agents that we've built software for, along with software for our local service ads management. So what we do is we show the clients over time with the software how their lead volume goes up with their response rate. So if the percentage of calls goes up that are answered within 30 seconds or down, you can see the effect on the lead volume. So we've got a software for that, and then we do have a specific AI agent that could help business owners that are really wanting to I mean, like, for example, like I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he's an attorney down here in South Florida. He was referred to us by a friend of mine, because a lot of guys just know us as the Google local, optimization experts. And he referred his attorney friend to us, who's a criminal and a personal injury attorney. And the guy called me up and he said, I was doing really well, Ryan, with my big business, and I had, a bunch of paralegals and a bunch of attorneys. And he said, I've really, scaled down, and I don't even have a receptionist anymore. So, he's a great example of somebody that could really needs some sort of agent, because he was spending like $1,500 a month, and he also needs a guy like that, who, by the way, he was not running local service ads, which blew me away. I was like, I didn't think there was any attorneys now that are not running local service ads. And he was doing, I think he was doing some business with Justia, and they were, helping him with his Google business profile optimization. And I said, yeah, I mean, if I were you, I would start running local service ads, and we can help you with that. I mean, although I will say that our avatar is a business owner that typically has somebody that helps them, because we do have a disposition sheet, or a sheet that shows like all of the leads that are coming in, and where they're coming from, and we want to know if those leads have been converted into new clients, so that we can identify what the return on ad spend is. And we want a business owner that's got somebody like that can support them, because it's tough to wear all those hats as a business owner. So that guy probably would not be too good of a fit for us for local service ads optimization, because he doesn't really have somebody to support him. He could run them himself potentially, but then he's gonna have to dispute all the calls, because there's a disputation process, which now is a survey process, which just changed by the way. So that's something that everybody needs to be on the lookout for. It might not have changed in your account yet, but it will be changing. And we found that actually through the new process, the survey process, there is still a way, even though they say that that you're not supposed to be able to get like really influence the outcome of the dispute, because for people that don't know, you can dispute your calls that you get from the Google local service ads platform. And if you dispute them, the old disputation process way, I'm going to refer to it as the old process, which is now was just changed. You could dispute calls, and then Google would look at them, and then they would determine if you deserve the credit or not. Now that process has turned into a survey process, and if you answer the survey a certain way and you say it was a bad lead, we have found that even if Google did not give a refund for that particular lead, it can influence after the fact whether or not they will actually relook at that lead and see if they'll give a refund or not. So it's important to keep in mind that survey process exists, and that you should still go through that survey process every single time with every lead, because it can definitely influence the amount of money that you get back at the end of the month. Okay, so that's 100% what. So this guy, great example of somebody that could run the local service ads himself if he wants to go through and fill out a survey for every single time and do all the things that we listen to all the calls, by the way, for local service ads. We listen to my team. Yeah, I mean, because we want to know if there's an opportunity for improvement with the business, and we want to know if they're not answering the phone the right way, your intake team, because we want you to know that, because that can be costing you thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars, per month. So, yes, I would recommend for somebody like that, for 100%, to have an AI agent, because it would back him up and make it so that all the calls are answered, and so that he could continue to get leads from Google, because otherwise Google will just stop sending leads. If somebody like that, especially a sole proprietor like that, so to speak, is trying to wear that many hats, that kind of business definitely needs it, for sure.
It's awesome. So you do give feedback to your clients. You listen to all the calls. You give feedback to them. How often do you suggest them to, like, let's think about the big picture on the optimizing. Like, you can add new locations, you can add new pictures, you can rank with your business name. That's another new feature that has been added lately. How often do you change those settings, or how often do you talk with your client to optimize those available options that we have?
Great question, Lucas. So we don't really change those too much. I recommend that most businesses don't change them too much, because when you change your bidding or your budget in particular, okay, there's a few levers that you can pull on the platform, but if you change, for example, your bidding or your budget, what happens, we found, is that it somewhat resets the platform so that it has to almost start off, it almost starts all over again. And so it's really important that business owners really understand that it could start the process of that business getting fewer leads for a week, up to a week. So a lot of businesses that we talk to say, oh, we changed the bidding or the budget, every week for the past month, and we don't know why we're not getting any more leads. Well, it's because they've been changing those parameters, and every single time that they change them, it does somewhat reset, the LSA for that business, and it
Just
has
like the
to,
learning phase in Google Ads.
yeah. So, so I would really, not do that too often, and there's a lot of other things that can really be, optimized. But the main thing is just, making sure that they're, because what we measure, we can improve. And so the measurement of these data points, is really important. And as a result, also the listening of the calls, because what we measure and what we pay attention to, listening to the calls, can definitely improve if we if we really just focus on it. And I'm convinced that if a business really does, and I've seen this, and our mission, by the way, is to help the best businesses get to the top of Google and get and create a constant stream of pre-qualified, pre-sold leads. And if we were able to do that using these two local platforms that Google provides, one is Google Business Profile, and the other is local service ads. And if you do, and if that's done correctly, I'm convinced that pretty much any business can have as many leads as they would need to be happy. I mean, really. I mean, unless they're just, and because on a local level, okay, because to keep as many people as they want busy, as many trucks as they want, working out in the field. Then it just becomes, okay, how does that business want to expand? Where do they want to go to next? What territory? And we get data from Google that helps our clients, because because we're partners with them. They'll actually give us a spreadsheet of, under NDA we can't share it, but we can point business owners in the right direction if they want to expand and say, hey, here's some other areas that have not much competition and a lot of search volume for your particular vertical. So it really can help a lot if a business is really looking to expand into a new market, to know, where there's not many competitors and where there's a lot of opportunity. And so we combine those two things together to, thanks to Google, and to basically like help business owners know where to go once they, want to expand out.
Okay. I was trying to make more like generic questions, because I did post it on my Instagram. I have had some questions there, but also I have shared this live with my Brazilian community, which is not very large, but we do have very specific questions. I think we are almost getting to like the last 20 minutes here. Do you want to go over these questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
So some of them, like I think, will vary based on industry, but I will ask you all of them so you can give your take on them.
Okay.
So the first one, what is a good cost per lead?
Okay. So a good cost per lead can vary depending on the amount of revenue that a business gets. I mean, and that's really what it comes down to. I mean, really, it really does depend on, I know that's kind of a, kind of a simple answer, but, if a business, like a personal injury attorney can, if their leads convert into a new client that's worth $15,000, then a cost per lead for them of $1,000 is good, because if they're converting 1 in 3, they're paying $3,000 to make 15,000.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, a cost per lead of $1,000 is laughable for a, you know, an electrician or a plumber or, you know, anybody else. So, you know, it also depends on the location or the part of the country that we're talking about, the city. You know, obviously, if you're in a bigger city, the leads are more expensive because there's more competition, and typically people will pay more money in the bigger cities. So those are all things to consider when you're trying to identify what a good, you know, cost per lead is, and it really varies per business.
Yeah, I'm in a location where the largest city here in a 40-mile, 50-mile radius has 70,000 people. You know, so here we have ridiculous cost per lead. When it comes to roofing, I just sent a report to my client. He had 48 leads. They spent $2,800. 48 leads for roofing for $2,800. That's very cheap, very, very, very cheap. But we have done for lawyers. They were spending even 120 per lead. But it were good leads. It's someone that was like caught with DUI or I don't know, drug possession. So that's a really big case for the lawyer. So even if you spend $200, 300, that's still a very good cost per lead.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's why, you know, and yeah, so it really varies, you know. So yeah.
Another question here, and this is a business owner. He said that there are clients that send him a message and he replies, but then they never reply back. Okay. Do you recommend to like dispute that lead, to like add them to like a nurturing campaign? How do you deal with this type of cases?
Yeah. So also I want to circle back to the cost per lead, you know, point as well. Before, I would focus less on cost per lead and more on cost per acquisition, like I talked about earlier. It's the cost per acquisition that really matters. What is the CPA? Because if I'm able to acquire a client for, and let's say that using that previous example, you know, if I have 100% conversion rate for that attorney with $1,000 leads, that means I'm only paying $1,000 for a new acquisition. Whereas if I'm converting 1 in 3 or 33%, then that's a way different ballgame. That's $3,000. So I would focus on that cost per acquisition if I was a business owner. That's really where the rubber meets the road. In regard to your question, what was the question again? The
unresponsive leads when they message you and then they reply back.
Yes. Yeah. So if they're unresponsive, so if you've had somebody that has sent you a message or engaged with you and they're not engaging back with you, you know, put them on a drip campaign. Absolutely. 100%. I mean, why not? You know, and with GoHighLevel, you can do that. I mean, anybody. I mean, GoHighLevel is a great system. We use GoHighLevel for our agency, and we highly recommend it for other businesses. It really does work well. Their review gathering system is great. Their landing page system is great. You know,
and it keeps
CRM,
getting better.
Yeah, it does. Their CRM is really good. Their call tracking is actually pretty darn good now. Anyway, so yeah, definitely, you know, continue to follow up with them. We typically follow up like once every day for the first, you know, 3 or 4 days, and then we put them on, you know, like a weekly, and then you know, maybe every month. But you know, the other thing I do is in GoHighLevel, I send a video like you see me right now. Like I send a video like this. If somebody hasn't responded to me, I'll go to GoHighLevel. I'll go to the texting if I've got their cell phone, and then I'll go to the to the section where it says video, and then I literally just record a video of myself, and I send that to the person in order to help get them to engage. So that's a really, you know,
awesome
powerful strategy that sometimes can get people to re-engage.
Awesome tip. Amazing. And you mentioned HighLevel. Are there other ways to connect HighLevel with local service ads? Like the way you usually do is make sure that the number that you have for the H2P is the one that's visible on the profile, also the same one that people will message. Other than that, are there other things that you that is part of your integration?
Yeah, that's absolutely 100% what I would do is make sure that you've got the A2P registered so that you can do things like I was just talking about. Because if you don't have an A2P registered, then you can't use the texting. Some people do, and we had this happen the other day. You know, they might say stop. You know, with the messaging, they might say, you know, like stop messaging me or whatever, because they don't want to be on the, you know, subscribed anymore. And to get them to resubscribe, you just have them type in the word start. We have a thunderstorm here, so that's why you hear in the background.
No problem.
But yeah, you can have them restart by just typing in start, and then you can re-engage with them. But just because, by the way, they may be they are not able to communicate with you in with texting, remember, you can still engage with them over email or anything else. So that's just for that one communication platform that you can't communicate with them. You can still communicate with them via email. But yeah, I mean, there's really, I don't think, I mean, we do use the review system, and I like all the features that it has. We do use the call tracking. Sometimes, we don't use it all the time. We use that, and then we also use CallRail. We're partners with CallRail as well. But now that GoHighLevel has upped their game, that is if you're familiar with how to use GoHighLevel, then you could potentially replace CallRail almost with GoHighLevel. But yeah.
Amazing. That's a question from me now. I have had a roofing client that first they were only doing roofing, and then they started doing siding and also window. For this client, what I had to do was create a whole new profile where I have added roofing, have added siding, have added window, and then I was able to get them approved so they can run ads on all these categories. Or is there a way to add an existing profile and add services, or do you always have to create a new one to have those services ranking as well?
Yeah, so you can add services, and there's strategies that we recommend to potentially even break up those categories into separate pages. So there's a way to do that. So if you have a business that has different categories, you can have those business categories. Now, I'm not talking about job types under the categories. I'm saying the categories themselves. Like, you can create a page for each category.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, my question is more like because roofing is a category, and then there's siding, which is a different category. Yeah. But I wasn't able to add a different category to an existing business. I'm able to check other options within the same category that the business has been approved for. But if I want to add a whole new category, the only way I have found to do that was creating a new profile, pausing the campaign on this old profile, and then having all those two categories or three categories ranking.
You should be able to add, as long as you've got a license, and the business is licensed and insured.
Ian, we lost Ryan. Hopefully he's able to get in. Oh, he's here.
Go.
We just lost you for 2 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay. You absolutely should be able to get those guys approved for multiple categories. That should not be a problem at all. So I don't know why that would be happening, because that's one of the things that Google really encourages is to use multiple categories for the same business, as long as you've got a license and insurance for them,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't have any problems with this client. I just had to start a new profile because I couldn't find a way to just add the current profile, adding a different category. But maybe that's available now. I can look into that, because I even called Google. Yeah. Someone just said you need to call LSA. Yeah, so maybe you need to call them, and then they will be able to add this new profile. Okay,
Yep.
that's good to know.
Yep.
Yeah. And Ryan, I know it's raining there. Would you like to share like your last thoughts on local service ads, on HighLevel, on the AI voice agent? You can also do a pitch for your service.
Yeah.
Just leave it open for you to finish
No,
this
I think
live.
I appreciate it. Lucas, I really do. I appreciate you having me on, and we want to help businesses that that really do have a good service or a good product to get to have a constant stream of pre-qualified, pre-sold leads, and to have the best conversion rate possible. So, if you guys want to improve your rankings on Google, then let us know. I mean, I know that Lucas does a great job as well. I mean, we definitely have been doing this for a while, and I've got a great team. I know some of my team has been commenting. Ranza is on my team, and so it really, it really does make a difference. To do some of the things that I talked about today. And hopefully I was able to give value. I mean, if you do these things, and I also want to say, if you get reviews on a consistent basis, meaning one a week at least, and that's another thing that we coach and train on. It really, and GoHighLevel is great at. Like I said, they've got a great automated tool for that. The key though is blending that automated tool with the organic asking for reviews that the business can do and getting it, grassroots. So that's really it. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Awesome. And I would like to ask you one last question, which is like sometimes I do get these types of messages on my Instagram. For someone who's starting right now, what's the main tip that you give to get their first client for local service ads?
Yeah, what I would do is set up the local service ads platform. Do whatever you need to do to make sure that all the calls are answered. Once you get your first call, convert as many as you can, and get reviews from them as fast as you possibly can, and then respond to them. Respond to the reviews, and just keep doing that over and over and over again. That's it. That's what I would do. If I was a business owner, I would set up a Google business profile page. I would have an address, by the way, with that business, not a service area business. Pay the extra money, get the office, create a service area that is a circumference, which is one of the things that we help our clients do. That is a radius, like a circle around that business center point, and then just get reviews, answer the phone, and respond to message leads in 30 seconds, and then get reviews and respond to them, and then just rinse and repeat.
Awesome. You gave the advice to a business owner. Now, would you give also, because this is two profiles of people that watch my content, business owners and also other entrepreneurs, agency owners, and people who are starting right now trying to get the first client. So now a tip for someone that wants to talk to a business owner and get them on board with local service ads. Like, what is a tip that you would give them?
I would say, have them understand that you're going to be doing the best that you can as that, depending on if you got a team or not, but you might have to listen to the calls yourself and let them know that you're going to listen to the calls yourself, and send them over recordings of calls if they're not the quality that you think that they should be. That will let the client know that you really care. And then also identify the return on ad spend, or the ROAS, the return on ad spend. And that will also help the business owner, understand that you're paying attention to what he's spending, and he'll understand the value that you're creating, the return on the ad spend that you're actually generating. And typically you want to generate at least a 3x ROAS, 3 times. So in other words, if they are investing $3,000 in the budget for Google and in your service costs, then if it's $3,000, then you would expect that they would make $9,000, and you want to be able to calculate that. So that's really it. Yeah.
Excellent, Ryan. Thank you so much for being here with us. Hopefully, we can do another one of these in the future. And thanks, man. Amazing having you here, and hope everyone enjoyed this. I'll also be providing a version with Portuguese subtitles, so everyone can understand this as well.
Awesome. Yeah, we're about to potentially hire a Brazilian or Portuguese person, so I'll have to send this over to him so he can see.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Thank you, everyone who has watched this, participated, have sent questions on Instagram or WhatsApp groups. Thank you so much. See you guys on the next one. Stay tuned on this YouTube channel.
Thanks.
Bye.